There we go. We are live. Good morning and welcome to Canada Reads Inspired. That's right. Canada Reads Inspired because we have changed our name from we were once Canada Reads American Style, but very recently, what is it? Today's like 2 weeks ago, roughly, right? We
Think
have
so?
become Canada Reads Inspired. So
Yeah,
new name, same
yeah,
host, same content.
yeah. And
Well,
I
so
wanted to change it a little bit too, because a lot of the content when I initially started this, like almost 7 years ago, it was really heavily focused on Canada Reads, the list and everything. So I'm changing it to inspired because everything we do now, for me anyway, is obviously inspired by Canadian literature, Canadian authors, blah blah blah. So I love the new name and
yeah,
the new
me too.
book. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. But we are here today for our regular reading from our shelves, in which we share the books that we have read in the past month or so from our shelves, from the library, so the library shelves, however we interpret it. I do it from my actual shelves so that it keeps me accountable, so that I keep reading from those shelves to eventually dwindle them. So,
And I
and
often
you,
do it from library books or even arcs that I have. Oh, in fact, I just realized I forgot one of my arcs, but okay, well, whatever. I'm still going to talk about the book, but I
oh,
don't have
yeah,
it in
yeah.
front of me. It's on my e-reader. So
Okay. Okay. Well, do you want to start or do we want to jump right in? Do we
I'll
want to
let you
I
start,
guess
and
we'll
I'm going to
chit
go
chat
run
it.
and get that because honestly, I can't
Yes.
remember what the title is. So
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Go ahead, Tara.
Okay. Well, I will start then with a nonfiction book, which I know I'm pretty sure Rebecca has read. Wow, this is really weird now. I know I'm talking maybe to a couple other people in future, but at the moment it's weird not seeing Rebecca's face on the screen. Okay. This is, there we go. The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. A true story of love, crime, and a dangerous obsession. And it is the story of two people, Stefan Breitweiser and Anne Catherine Kleinklaus, who in the late 90s in Europe started visiting. I can't remember exactly which country it is they live in, but oh, I'm discussing The Art Thief, Rebecca. Take off my notes. Uh, they start traveling. They are art lovers. And as a duo, they travel around Europe visiting smaller museums, I think bigger museums, but when they visit the smaller museums, they start stealing objects that Stefan in particular finds especially beautiful. And then they just hoard them. They have like a dragon's den of jewels, except it's art. Yeah, this jewel and like everything. Just there is what I loved about this too is he includes a map and pictures of the objects that are stolen. But this, I love this diagram of
Oh
the
yeah.
attic of
Oh,
all the different objects. So it's a drawn one of all the different objects that they stole and where they kept them. And you can see their bed is just surrounded by like swords. It is fascinating. He is unlikable, I gotta say. Like, I thought I would end up having some kind of like, like liking something about him. I do not. Stefan Breitweiser, I did not like him at all. He's an ass. Sorry, I should not say that because he's a real person, but he is not likable.
he might admit he's an ass, wouldn't he? Maybe.
Maybe, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. I
I
think he
might.
would. You're right. But it is fascinating how do you steal a sword? Like, you know what I mean? Like some of the objects, how because they do get into how the actual process of how they stole things, and that
Mhm.
is fascinating. But he talks about it, the because Michael Finkel ends up interviewing him and getting his opinions on it. And anyways, very interesting. I didn't end up liking Stefan Breitweiser. Anne Catherine, I think I would like her. I had
Oh,
some sympathy for her as a person. Like I wasn't like, ugh, she wasn't at the same level of unlikability that he was. But
wow. That's
him,
interesting.
yeah, him I had no likeness for.
You think she got sucked in along the way with it, or do you think she was an equally active person?
I think she was equally active. Like, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think she's any less guilty. Um, because she's still an adult. She could, but I think she loved him. She got sucked into maybe the excitement of it at first, and then it just became part of what they did in their relationship. You know, she's
Yeah,
still culpable and everything, but I think as a person, I might like her a little more than I like
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ran and got my e-reader, but then I don't like the way it looks on the screen, so I just pulled it up on my phone. But anyway, what I'm currently reading is actually a digital arc that I received from a publicist. And I will say right off the bat, I'm really enjoying this, but I'm going to show you.
Mm,
It's called Welcome to Sunnytown. I think it just published the beginning of May, I think, but it's Welcome
okay.
to Sunnytown. I don't know if it's Theodora Armstrong. Let me see.
Oh, oh, that cover looks familiar. Okay.
Yeah, and so it basically says in the striking debut novel, a young artist rashly moves overseas to teach ESL and to find herself and gets more and less than she bargained for. And so it's a woman coming out of art school. She'd had an affair with her professor. This is the very beginning of what I've gotten out of it. And one of her former classmates, who is now teaching English in Japan, she goes to Japan, just decides to try to kickstart her life in a bigger way.
Yeah.
And it's really about just that sort of expat kind of thing and this making adjustment in a new culture and trying to find her way as a young woman just coming out of school or out of art school and everything. And so I am really enjoying it, but I'm in the process of reading it. I do think I'm going to really like it and give it a high rating. But that is the first one that I am currently reading. I'm currently reading. So
Okay, interesting. I look forward to seeing what you think when you're
yeah,
finished, because then maybe I'll add it to my TBR.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
that I need to, but I will.
yeah.
Okay, my next one is so the author had reached out to me about this one, and it is, well, I'll just share it with you. I was trying to take off a sticker. So there's the cover. It is a dark book, so trigger warnings if you go into this. However, so the book, Day of Epiphany by Jerome J. Bourgault. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but so he reached out to me. It is okay. I'm going to say that I love reading about Quebec history, like the history of Quebec. I don't know why. You can tell by my accent, I cannot speak French well. I'm attempting to learn it. Got my little Duolingo, and I'm doing that every night because I want to feel more confident when I travel through Quebec and stuff like this. But I love reading about Quebec history because I think it's really interesting. And this tackles a part of Quebec history, which they call the Great Darkness of the 1940s and 50s. So it's a fiction, but it's based on this period in which the premier of Quebec, where's his name? There's a little prologue at the beginning. I'm missing his name. Oh, Maurice Duplessis. And he was so the premier of Quebec, and had very tight connections with the Roman Catholic Church. And the Roman Catholic Church had tight connections with schools, orphanages, hospitals, and the two back and forth made a lot of it made a lot of money for each other. Like the premier, the Catholic Church were in cahoots to just make each other a lot of money. And during this period of time, so 1944 to 59, the story, the fictional story in which an orphanage, the the government and Catholic Church realized that the orphanage could make more money for themselves if it became a asylum for mentally ill patients.
Oh,
So an orphanage that is run by nuns, and the nuns are the teachers, all of a sudden within a day or two, it's now become an asylum for mentally ill patients, and all the orphans are now designated as patients rather than orphans. So they're all treated as, because the government gets more money and the Catholic Church will get more money. And the nuns, who are teachers, are now nurses. And so they have no training in this. And the orphans are treated as patients. So their schooling stops. They receive the treatment that in the 1940s and 50s mentally ill patients would have received, which is not great. Obviously, there's a history there. And then it takes an even darker turn when so there is another asylum in the province that houses adult patients, and the two are brought together, and they bring the adult patients into what was the orphanage, so that you now have children from about 3 to 15 years old now housed with adults. And along with those adults then come I'm going to say the attendants. That's not the right word, but the staff who worked in this adult asylum are now brought in and work with the orphans or the children. And it is a very interesting that, I like I said, it's fascinating. I love finding out about, because I think the church is so ingrained in Quebec history, and there's now almost a strong separation of the two in Quebec culture. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how it happened. So the trigger warnings are that it is obviously there's physical abuse, there's sexual assault, sexual abuse. It's difficult to read at times. Did I enjoy it? You can't enjoy. Am I happy I read the book? Yes. Like, it's well written, the history it presents, the story, the characters are well developed. One of the main characters is a nun who brings it out into the open and helps bring it out into the open later in years and stuff. So yeah, I recommend it. If this is something that period of history, which is not that long ago, less than 100 years ago, really. It's kind of scary. But yeah, just like be prepared to read some difficult material.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So another one that I read, and I just realized I had forgotten to talk about it, even on the podcast, even though I read it a little while ago, actually quite a while ago, is Doubles by Nora Gold.
I love that cover.
Yeah, no, I do too. And in fact, I feel like somebody in her family drew the cover. I feel like a brother or brother-in-law or something, I think. Yeah, I have to look that up. But yeah, I love the girl just looks so
I love the
beautiful
girl
and vulnerable. And
yeah.
Anyway, so I just interviewed Nora actually yesterday, and that will go up in a few days, the interview. But it's a novella. It's under 100 pages. I think it's somewhere in the 80 range pages, 80 pages range, I think. And it's basically about a girl it's set in 1989, and it's about a girl who ends up um, in a foster care, well, not foster care, it's more like a hospital kind of care setting for something that you don't really know what happened in the family, but it was supposed to be to protect her from the family. And it's told from her perspective. So it is her first person account of it. And I can't remember exactly how old she is. She might be 11. I can't remember. But she is asked questions by a worker there. And so she's answering the questions. And so you get to learn more about her. And it's really this period of just this, I think it might be 6 months in her life in this institution. And she's really tough. She's really vulnerable. It is really about how we sort of can sometimes warehouse people or children in an institution. That's why when you're talking about this one book that you just read, it made me realize, oh my gosh, I had not talked about this book yet. And it is, you kind of see this moment where she comes in and she's so wanting a different life, and then you start to see the direction she's headed. And the ending I thought was fabulous. I loved the
Mm.
ending. So anyway, I really want to recommend the book. It actually made on bookshop.org, which Canadians don't have access to. They do it through the United States, but it is actually listed as one of the top novellas right now. It's on their list on bookshop.org, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
And so
very cool.
I highly recommend it. I also recommend listening to the interview when it comes out with Dr. Nora Gold. And it was really fascinating conversation. And I just really want to highly recommend this book. I really loved it. And I love the character, which she goes unnamed, by the way, but I asked Nora
Mhm.
about that and she explains why, and it makes total sense. But I love this character. I think she's going to be with me a long time because she's like her passion is math. And throughout the story, there's this sort of math theme that runs through it that's just really, it's the thing that she holds on to. It's the thing that gives her comfort. And she's a memorable character.
Okay, I like the link between the two of our books, the side by
Yeah,
side.
exactly.
Yeah,
Well, as soon as you
yeah,
were saying that, I thought, I forgot to talk about this other book. So I just
yeah.
threw it in at the last minute, but I'm glad I did. So yeah.
Because mine has, I think there's three teenage girls who figure prominently in the book, and they're great characters. I I feel like yours might be a little more optimistic. Optimistic's not maybe not the right word. I don't know,
Hope,
but
hope,
hopeful.
hopeful,
Yeah.
but
Mine doesn't have a lot of
I,
hope.
yeah, I don't. It's interesting because Nora said yesterday that she felt there was hope at the end. And I
Yeah.
don't know that I felt that as a reader,
Mm.
but I need to be hopeful for her because she is a fighter. And I believe that long term that she will be okay. Long term, she'll be okay. And I think she won't suppress it. She'll be out and she'll like know how to navigate her life in a healthy way. I just believe that about that character.
Yeah. Okay, I
So I
like
guess
that. I'm going
that's
to add
hope.
that to
I
my
guess that's
TBR.
hopeful
Yeah.
then. I guess that's hopeful.
Yeah. You know what? Also, I'm going to put another one out there that I think would pair well with that too, is the Lullabies for Little Criminals, Heather
Oh,
O'Neill's first book. I think those sound really like they go well together too.
nice.
Yeah. Okay, I'm moving on. I read a lot of historical fiction. Wow, I learned a lot this last little month or so. Okay. My next book. There we go. And it is called Tethered Spirits by Corrine Hebers, Hoebers. This one is set in the 1750s of Nova Scotia, and it involves it's against the violent backdrop of the French Indian the 7 Years' War between the colonialists and the Mi'kmaq indigenous people of Nova Scotia. It is we because it's historical fiction. So we have one family. The interesting part of this that I didn't know about the Nova Scotia part. So it's set in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, which had German colonists, settlers. I did not realize that Lunenburg, which I guess I should have
Hmm.
by the name. So these were Germans who were brought over from Germany because they were being persecuted for their religion in Germany. So they left and were offered homes and land in Nova Scotia by the British government. So they were brought, so you had the British were way up above, and then the German settlers were brought over and offered land at the same time that this land is already inhabited by indigenous people. The Mi'kmaq end up having to and the British and the French are going at each other. They're fighting over the land as a whole. The Germans are sided more with the British because they're the ones that brought them over. The Mi'kmaq form alliances with the French because that seems to be the only way that they're hoping they can somehow survive as their land is just like gobbled up. So that's
Yeah.
the whole background. The the book itself focuses on one particular German family. The father, the mother died in childbirth, and 3 siblings, might be more. I think it's the 3 main ones. There are 2 daughters and an adult son. And the adult son actually ends up becoming a member of the Mi'kmaq people. He is taken in by them when
Mm.
they find him in the river. He is assumed drowned by his family. He stays with the Mi'kmaq for several years and then becomes Mi'kmaq and then goes back to his family, and it doesn't go well. And so it is about that. It's just about those, everyone just wants to survive and no one will really listen to each other, you know? So it's beautifully written, very detailed. So if you love history and you want
Mhm.
like the details of even like how buildings were fabricated, what food was eaten, how things were cooked, like she is Corrine Hebers has really like done her research into it. Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh my, wow, that's impressive. The chapters you get, they're not alternating, but you get chapters from both the one particular German woman, the one of the sisters, and then also from the Mi'kmaq. And the Mi'kmaq chapters are actually named after the moons, like of that season. So
Oh,
I
okay.
actually, yeah. So like chapter 1 is, and there is a glossary. So I'm going to try to pronounce it, just be, is Niba Niguz, which is summer or leafy moon. So it gives
Oh,
you like, and then it says June 1756. So it's very good. Again,
yeah,
like a not a quick read. Like it's intense, it's dense, and I enjoyed it.
yeah.
I recommend it. If that's like again, a history period of history that you are interested in, I highly recommend it. Yeah.
All right, my next book is a book that you read, and after you interviewed the author, I bought the book because I wanted to read it, and I'm finally reading it, which is I Don't Do Disability and Other Lies I've Told Myself by Adelle Purdham. And I have to say, Adele gave an incredible interview. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. So I will link to the date, or I'll put the date that we interviewed her for the podcast. But basically, she and her husband were living their lives, and she never thought about disability because she didn't touch her life in any way. And
Mhm.
then she has a child, a daughter born with Down syndrome, and she has to make adjustments in her life and her perspective. And she's an amazing person because, like I said, that interview, when I was editing it,
Yeah.
I was just fascinated by her. So, and it's also stories. So it's not like it's told exactly sequentially or anything. It's not, it's more, you kind of, I think, sort of said it's like kind of like essays a little bit. I think you kind of said that, but I'm really enjoying it. And so I would highly recommend it as well as Tara.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved that one. Before I move my next one, I go back to my book. I just want to say, so the author,
Yeah.
Corrine Heber, is a direct descendant of one of the first 1753 settlers of Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. So she has a link there. And in writing and researching the book, uh, she said it was a journey that involved close and constant consultation with members of the Mi'kmaq community. So I just
Okay.
want to put that out there too. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for saying that because I actually was
Yeah.
going to ask you that question and then it went right out of my head. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah. As soon as I put it
Okay.
aside, I was like, oh, I should mention that because I think she worked very closely with several members of the local Mi'kmaq community while she was writing. Okay, I have a collection of short stories, and I like this color. It is Dig
Oh,
by Terry Doyle. So when I visited Newfoundland last summer, I picked up this book in one of the stores that I visited with. So that was I love going to bookstores when I visit places, and I definitely wanted to get a Newfoundland writer, and Terry Doyle is a Newfoundland writer. This is his first book,
love the cover.
and I know I love the cover too.
Love it.
And each story actually has uh you can't see it here, but it's going to be difficult to see. But the overleaf of each story
Oh yeah.
starts off
Hmm.
with like the same kind of art on a different, like in a lighter thing. So lovely collection. Um, I think I'm from Newfoundland, so I love reading Newfoundland books. I feel like I'm going back home. There's a certain sense of like pathos, would that be the word? Like sometimes the book stories made me sad, right?
Yeah.
Like there's parts of it I'm like that just they're character specific, character driven stories in which you get just a little, which is what a short story is, a little moment in time of that character. And they're not like, you're not going to be like, yeah, like
Yeah.
they're sad stories. And even like sometimes I was uncomfortable reading about some of the characters because I'm like, oh, this, but then I loved reading them. And then the very last story, which is called John, which is about friendship between two men who've known each other since like probably elementary school or middle school. Just I was like, yep, that I'm like that was a good one to end with. So I really enjoyed this. I found it a little difficult to find out if he's written another book. I think he has, but it was so I have to look into him a little more. But I really enjoyed this, so I would like to read more from him.
Is he like an actor or something? I feel like I know his name. Is
No,
he?
Doyle is a pretty common surname
Oh,
in Newfoundland. So there's
okay.
Alan Doyle is an
Oh,
actor.
maybe that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But I do feel like he's written another. This one was published in maybe like 2017. Can't be that long. A while ago. So it's an older book, but I don't think it was that old. I think I'm making shit up now, right? As I speak, but I do it sometimes. But I will. Oh no, 2019. So yeah, it is.
Oh.
Yeah, older. So I've got to look and dig and see if he's written anything else because I would like to read it.
Okay, we do
Yeah.
not plan this. When we talk about our books, we don't plan them. And I even have them in
No.
a certain order. You have yours in a certain order. Short Stories by Alice Munro.
Hey.
Now, I'm
Okay.
going to tell you, I
Yeah.
bought this like right before the announcement came out, the article that her daughter wrote about her relationship with her mother and how her stepfather was abusing her and her mother basically looked the other way. So I will admit, when I bought it, and then that story came out, and I did read the daughter's article, I set this aside and I thought, yeah, I can't really read this right now. So I've started it, and I'm going to do like you, which is I'm going to read one every so often. So it's going to take me a long time to finish it. But it's funny because even in the first story, I thought, there's just this, you can't get it out of your head now that her
Mhm.
perspective of her characters, I'm not gonna lie, there it's gonna be there with me. I'm gonna
Mhm.
try and not have it in my I can't
It's
not.
impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I just have to read it with that knowledge and try to appreciate the artistry because obviously everybody says she's the greatest short story writer in Canada and around the world, Nobel Prize winner, blah blah blah. But it is, yeah, it's I wish I had read it before, but it is what it is, and I will just
Mhm.
try to enjoy it the way, it's kind of like we've talked about this so many times before, so I'll just say this briefly. Sometimes there are artists historically that have had issues, but we read them now because we're too far away from what they did,
Yeah.
right? And so you just watch their movies, read their books, listen to their music or whatever. It's harder when it's in real time. It's harder to
Yeah.
do that and to sort of put that aside. So, but I want to. I'm committed to reading it because I haven't read Monroe before, and everybody, it's the one author everybody says you should read in Canada. So that is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
I'll I've since the news came out, I've read two of her collections. So I had bought a it's only like maybe in the last 3 to 5 years that I have become like a true fan of short stories. However, have I collected Alice Munro books prior to reading short stories? Yes. Like if I saw one at a used bookstore, I was like, I kind of feel like I need to buy and read Alice Munro. So I have a collection of them behind me that I hadn't read. I think I'd read one of them that I hadn't yet read when the news hit. And I've since read two of them. She is a fantastic writer. I read them, Rebecca, with that in my head. Like
Yeah.
it's not, I fully like that's part of the reason why I've decided to like, I'm like, I am going to read them. I, because I want to see, like, I can't help it. I'm like, I want to see what's in the stories, knowing more of her story now. I see
And I will
moments of it.
and I will say this, I'll just say this, there's abuse in my family. So it's really, especially there's that other
Mhm.
layer for me that's harder to, because I believe the daughter and I feel for her. And so so there's just that added layer for me. So it's a little bit
Yeah.
harder for me to, that's why I say I can't get it out of my head, but I'm going to try and read it because again, I asked somebody recently, what is it that, makes her such a great writer? Like, what is it about her short stories? And I can't remember exactly what my friend said, but something about just the everyday detail about real life. It feels very real and uh, authentic. You know what I mean? And so, yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, so I will carry on. I will carry on.
It's okay not to read it though. Like you know,
No,
like
I want to though, because I do want to understand what it is. And I do feel like because I am reading more short stories than I have, same as you, you've read a lot more than I have, but uh, I feel like if she's sort of a quintessential short story writer, I don't want to just ignore her writing. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'm going to give it a good shot.
Okay. We're on the journey together then, because
Okay.
I read her sporadically as well. Okay, I'm going to bring something different. Finally, something lighter than the other four books that I have. Um, and 2 nights ago, I went to an event here at my local bookstore, different drummer bookstore here in Burlington, with the author. Well, no, I wasn't with the author. She was there. Prepositions, they like mess things up for me sometimes. Anyways, there it is. I love this cover too. And it is, these are the fireworks, a mystery by Vicki Grant. So Vicki Grant is another, oh, Nova Scotia. I'm bringing a lot of Atlantic
East.
Canadian authors here this week or this today. So Vicki Grant from Nova Scotia. This is her first book for adults. Up until now, she's a very prolific writer for middle school and young adults. I did not know this because I don't read those books anymore, but she is like, I think she said like 20 plus books that she's written and she's gotten awards for it. So, but she wanted to take a shot at an adult mystery and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. So, yes, mystery. And what I love about a mystery is that I did not guess the solution to the mystery, but when you find
Yeah.
out, all the pieces just went bloop, 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 bloop and fit in. So I was like, yes, thank you very much. Quickly, I guess I should tell you, who's her name? Not Nina, Petra. Petra is a woman probably in her late 50s, early 60s. Her husband dies suddenly. So she's become a widow and she has three adult daughters who, after their father's death, see a change in their mom. Like she's not as serious as she once was. It's her lipstick has gone from like a light pink to like a red. Like she shows up, I think, at the funeral in a red lipstick, and they're like, what is going on with
Love it.
mom? Mom is doing yoga naked in the backyard. They are just confused
Mom's
by
living
mom.
her mom's living her best life.
Mom is living her best life. And they are not comfortable with that at all because their father has just died. So they're like, what the hell is going on? And then they become a little suspicious of mom. So that is the mystery. So that's all I'm going to say about the mystery because as it unravels, it's just super fun to see where it goes. But the other thing I love about the book is the relationship because this is a book about a relationship between mom and daughters and sisters because those three sisters are tight. Like they're all in their 30s or something now and one of them is a teacher up in a Callowit, I believe. Another one is a new mom, but they're all like when they get together, they're sleeping in the same bed. Like they are tight. So I love the relationship between the three sisters. I love watching the relationship between the mom and the three daughters evolve throughout the book. You get um, multiple perspectives. I'm all for that. I love a multiple perspective book. You get Nina is the youngest sister, and she's late third, early 30s. She's wandering aimlessly, not knowing what the hell is going on with her life. And I hate to admit there's something in Nina that I like truly connected with, and I am not going I am
I
not
love it.
going to delve any further into it, but I'm like, I see you, Nina. I see you. And I may have been you,
That's
and I may
hilarious.
continue to be Nina. Anyways, but I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this one. It was a good mystery and family story.
Okay, again, we do not connect the dots here at all, but I have a book by a young adult or middle grade author, Pennies.
Oh,
And I have to tell you, it's gothic horror for children.
love it.
And it was so good. And it turns out I just was at the library and I saw the cover and I love the cover of these four girls and it it just spoke to me. So I picked it up. It turns out it's a prequel to three other books in the series. And so there's a series. And what it
Mm,
is the three books are one of the characters in this book, May, it's her granddaughter in the following three books. So
okay.
this is that character's grandmother's story, which I love, and I think
Yep.
I'm okay that I read it first, and then I am 100% going to read them. And you should see the covers of her books because some of them I think are for young adults as well. And again, she's a horror writer. She loves that. I mean, that's her thing. But so there's four characters. It's set in 1921, and
Okay.
It's May, Lark, Bridget, and Claret. And the four of them are just so every day they are together. They have like a clubhouse. They're just
Mm,
so
love that.
connected. And I love that each of the girl characters is so well described over the course of the story. And they each have their strengths and kind of weaknesses, but they mesh really well. And basically, what happens is they're and it's they live in Blight Harbor, and it's kind of like a spooky town. So they have one of their dads goes around looking for kind of like portals, doors, and then the other person's dad is the one that closes them up, seals them up, because you really should never go down into them, right? Well, the girls come across one and they go, "Wow, dad didn't find this one. We better tell him." So they go and tell him, and they bring him over, and he's like, "What are you talking about? I don't see anything." And their girls are like, "What do you mean you don't see it?" It's like it's right here. And then there's a character, a kind of a male character, a young male character that the girls really don't like because they know there's something wrong with him. And all the adults in town are saying, like, "Oh, he's fabulous, he's great." And they're all
Mm,
going like, "What the hell's going on?" Right. So one of the girls' cousins, she goes missing, and they realize they have to go down through one of the doors into this portal into a different world. And they've never been down there, but they figure out a way. There are creepy characters, there's ghosts, there's just horrific monsters, but there's a serial killer. This is a
oh,
book for children, and there's a freaking serial killer. And I was just sitting there thinking, because at one point I'm reading it, I'm thinking, this character has killed many people. That's a serial killer. And then eventually, you start to realize it. What I love about it is it's told in first person through May's eyes. And at the beginning of the book, May even says, "There are things that happen here that we will never speak of to anyone." And there's a point at which they find something. Two of the girls find something, they open a box. And then May even says, "I'm not telling you what's in the box. It's too horrific. I don't want you to have that image in your head." And so you can only assume what's in the box. And then at the end, May sort of concludes the story. And I'm telling you what, it is so well written. It's a page turner. even if you are an adult, I have to say, I'm not a horror reader. Tara is, and I don't think I'm ever going to be an adult horror reader because I live with images in my head for too long, and I just can't do that. But I'll tell you what, if you have a kid in your life, whether a kid or a teen in your life who loves horror, I thought this was fabulous. I love
Mm,
everything about this book. And it says she's the Bram Stoker Award winner and
yeah.
she's written a lot of different things. Highly recommend this book. I absolutely love it. And I just want everybody to read it because I thought it was fabulous. So,
Yeah.
yeah, one of my
I'm going
best
to.
reads.
I'm going to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just,
It
and now
sounds
for
fun.
you, you're a horror reader, so you might not have the same experience I had, but I just thought, again, it just kept me moving forward. When I will say this in my review, what I had said too was I had just read the Chronicles of Narnia, and what I loved about Narnia was because in fantasies and stuff, they're so fat, and then they just drag everything out.
Yeah.
For me, I don't care for that. And what I loved about Narnia, and what I love about this book is it keeps things moving. Like things are happening, but it keeps you moving so they don't dwell in one place too long to where you feel like, okay, okay, all right, already move along. It just moves along, and I love it. So, and it's
Yeah.
almost 300 pages. So,
Oh, okay. It's longer than I thought too, then.
yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like the horror version of Narnia, really.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
a great way to say it. There you go.
It's
I
awesome.
love
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I got to check that one out. That sounds good. Okay. For my last book, I'm going back to history and not historical because it's set in present time, but it's based on a historical figure. But what if you take a fact about that figure and alter it? So I know it's Bloodbound, Unlacing Secret Ties by Marie-Josée Poisson, translated by Flora Lee Bendit. Bendit? Bendy. Maybe I should say Bendy. I should have checked. My apologies. It is set in early 2000s, roughly, and our main character is Lou Ashby, and she is a communications professional. It's very odd in this is a world, for me, this is a window book. You know, when you read some books and you window or mirror, like you see yourself reflected, this is very much a window book because I am not at all reflected in this book. It's me. I'm totally watching this world just go, and I'm like, I have nothing in common with these people. I know nothing about it. So Lou, who's our main character, works in Montreal as a in the media world, and they all and the arts and the culture, and they love fashion. They wear expensive clothes, like that's just, and they have the really fancy restaurants. Like they love a good pair of shoes, like, and I'm like, I wear sneakers. That is the world that Lou is in. And one of her bosses really doesn't like her and is trying everything to get rid of Lou out of her job. So Lou has to take like a mental health break from her job. And in this, she decides to go to Paris. Something is revealed to her. So our historical figure that I was referring to is Madame de Pompadour, who was the main uh, uh, oh my God, I can't think of the proper word. Only thing that's coming in my head is side piece. And I'm so sorry that that's the word I'm using of King Louis the 15th. But she is
Partner.
not only his like, not only his side piece, his like lover, but she's very influential to King Louis and in the court itself in the time of, was it maybe the 1700s, 1500s? I mean, you can tell how much I know about French history. But so in this book, you get French history and you also get Quebec history. Uh, and what comes out is so Madame de Pompadour had no, historically, it is known she had no descendants. But this book looks at the question, what if Madame de Pompadour did have a descendant? And that descendant found its way to Quebec. So you
Oh,
get, so then Lou in her break that she's taking from her work makes her way to Paris because something has been revealed in one of the historic buildings in Paris. Something has been found that hints that at this about Madame de Pompadour that she that there's more to her story than is known. And Lou finds out that she might have a connection. So she goes to Paris to like further delve into this, which brings her together with this handsome historian and art person who, like it's just this whole world. It's this mystery, but this whole world. And I felt like you're almost dropped into Paris. Like I felt like I just like then been boom, dropped into this world that I didn't know. You're walking along the streets of Paris, you're getting like behind the scene peeks at the museums, fashion shows. Like it's a fun book. It's a fun book, and yet I learned a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice.
and because fashion is so important in this book, what I also loved, I'm going to share this part. Here is a diagram of one of the gowns
Oh,
that the women would have worn in the French
yeah.
court at the time of Madame de Pompadour, with everything, all the different pieces. And so the author's name is Marie-Josée Poisson. Madame de Pompadour, one of her nicknames was Poisson, fish. There's a whole pun thing on Poisson and throughout the whole book. So yeah, fun book.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I have three books left, but I'm going to do mine.
you
These are
go.
a couple of these will be really quick. So I was in Chicago last week and met up with a friend, and one of the things she is doing is taking an online writing class through Nadia Colburn, which I actually am going to link to because I looked into it and I thought it was really interesting. It's kind of a meditation. I think yoga might be involved, but it's like this meditation
Oh,
and this writing thing. And
interesting.
anyway, my friend gave me a copy of a book from a woman that was from the class, and I think it's self-published, but it's called, so you're not probably going to find it, but I've got a point of bringing it up.
Yeah.
31 Days in January, and there's the woman
Okay.
who wrote it, and she explains why the faces are, she's looking like that. But she's an 81-year-old grandmother, and she set the goal of writing the 31-day meditation. So there's poetry. So each day of the month of January, she wrote a poem and then she published it herself.
Oh,
And so my question,
lovely.
yeah, and my question, first of all, I want to thank my friend for giving me a copy of this book, but also I just am curious if anybody out there has taken a writing class, like an online writing class. I'm just curious about it. Like, tell me who it was through. Did you enjoy it? I'm just really fascinated by that. I'm not a
Yeah.
writer. I don't I have the ability or the attention span for it, but I'm just really curious about because I looked on the online about this class and I thought, oh, this is really interesting. But anyway, so have you ever done an online writing class
I
before?
have not, but I know so Finney and Burnett, who's
Hmm.
been on the
Oh
podcast a
yeah,
couple of times. Yeah, they do a lot. They offer a lot of online classes through their website.
yeah, yeah.
Mostly, I
Oh,
think,
perfect.
focusing on flash fiction and stuff. But yeah, Finian
Because
does a lot of them.
I will add Finian's link as well to that. And just since I
Okay.
brought it up, if anyone's interested in
Yeah.
that, I just think that's such a cool thing to do. And my friend was telling me that it's just really they'll have like a prompt and then they'll write in small groups and then they'll share and then somebody at the end they can share to the group if they want. But there's also like this meditation piece of it. Maybe the yoga's not right. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, it just sounded like a very peaceful way, and the way the world is now and how
Yeah.
crazy it is. I thought, what a beautiful way to be creative and be in community with others. And I just thought that was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, again, while I was in Chicago, we actually got to see the musical Chicago, which I had never seen a live performance. And we had second row. It was fabulous. But one day I was walking past the Goodman Theater, which I'd never been in before, and they were having showing or performing Covenant by York Walker, and it was in a small theater. It's a like a gothic horror-ish kind of story, and it was set in like the late 1930s in Georgia. It's a black family, and there is a point at which in the play, towards the end, obviously, when literally everyone in the theater went like that. It was even I did it. It was this thing we weren't expecting. We didn't see it coming, and it was fabulous. Now, the reason I bring it up is when I was in high school, I was obsessed with reading plays. And so again, I'm just curious, is anybody out there reading lots of plays? Because obviously when I was in high school reading a lot of plays, I would try to imagine what it was like because I lived in a place
Yeah.
where I wasn't going to be able to see a lot of plays, right? And so anyway, as soon as it was over, I had to buy a copy. I'm going to read it. Everything about that play was fabulous and the performers were incredible. And I just love being at the Goodman Theater, and we're going to always keep our eye on the Goodman Theater in the
Yeah.
future. It's great. Now,
How old
my
is that
last,
play? Sorry,
okay,
can I interrupt you before you move on?
yeah.
How old is the play? Like when was it
Oh,
first published?
I think it was written in 24.
Okay, so very new. Yeah.
Yeah, 24. Yeah. So I feel
Yeah.
like this might be maybe it's its first time being performed
Yeah.
live. I don't know. But boy, I'll tell you what, the actors were incredible. It was, yeah. And like I said, there's a horror element. In fact,
Mhm.
I had posted a picture on my stories of the stage because we sat kind of
Oh,
far
I
back.
missed that.
I don't think there's a bad seat in the house actually, because it's a small intimate theater, but it was like a building. Sometimes it served as the house, and then sometimes it had a cross on it like a church.
Mhm.
And at one point I was watching it and all of a sudden I was kind of like, oh my God. And then I realized this cross was spinning.
Mhm.
And so I hit my friend. I go, oh my God, is the cross spinning? That's when I realized, like, anyway, it was appropriately scary. But
Yeah.
when everybody gasped at the same time together, that was hilarious. Like, I think I almost wanted to laugh. It was so funny. Okay.
Very cool.
Well, last thing I want to mention is we have a book club, a monthly book club that we meet. It's a virtual club. We have people participating from all across Canada and the United States. And we meet once a month. And since Tara and I talk books all the time, we just sit back and listen. But everybody else who comes, we don't read a book and discuss it. Everybody just brings their books that they've read recently that they've really loved or maybe didn't really love. And they
Mhm.
just share it. It's just like a little book talk the same way
It's
we
fun.
do this. And it's really fun. So if you're interested, just let us know and we'll add you to. And it's just you show up. If you do, great. If you don't, that's okay too. There's no pressure or stress
No
about it at all.
commitment. Yeah.
No commitment, and it's free. So we just do it for fun, and we've gotten to know each other over the last year. It's been a lot of fun. Now, one of our people recommended Mona's Eyes.
Oh, yes.
Now, as soon as she talked about it, I immediately was like, I have to buy this book because here's what the book is about if you're not aware of it. It was actually published, I think, a year ago in English. So it was a bestseller, I think, in France. It was French originally, and then it was translated into English. But it says Mona and her grandfather have only 52 weeks to encounter all that is beautiful in the world before Mona loses her sight forever. Here is a deeply touching, welcoming, inspiring journey across 5 centuries of art in the company of two unforgettable characters, a novel of Paris and its magnificent museums, one that embraces the fullness of life in all its variety. Mona's Eyes is also a moving story of the special relationship between a girl and her grandfather. So 100% I was in. Just hearing about that, I was in. The fact that they're going to look at museums and art, which is what I've been doing so much over the last, I don't know, 10 years of my life. But here is why I had to buy the book, because look what they did.
Yeah.
All of the 52 pieces of art that they talk about in the book
Amazing.
are here. And if you open it up, I'm going to make it even bigger. I'm sure you can, let's see here. I'm sure you can see it.
Yeah.
So all the art that is discussed is in the dust jacket. And I thought
Love
that
it.
was a cool marketing ploy. I haven't read it yet. I expect to read it like soon because I'm so excited to read it. But I just had to share that because this is exactly the forum in which to share this book. So
Yeah.
if
Beautiful.
you've read it, let me know if you read it. I'm really curious, but our friend Sandra raved about it, loved it, and so I had to buy it, had to own a copy for myself.
Yeah. I think shortly after that one, after Sandra recommended it, I have another friend who loves reading books about art as well. And I was like, dink, 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 you might want to pick up this book because it sounds
Yeah,
amazing. It
yeah.
sounds right up your alley. Yeah.
Think about it. There's another one of our books that connected about art. You started with
I
art. I
know.
ended with art. Look at this.
I know. And yours was Paris, and then this was Paris. Like we full circle.
I
God,
know.
we're amazing, Rebecca.
We are.
Imagine if we actually planned this, how well we could do.
And we don't, we
We
never
would do
ever,
it.
yeah, we never ever say what we're bringing. We just bring what we
No.
bring. So
Yeah.
cool.
Awesome. Okay, feel free to share whatever you've been reading since in the last month or so, yesterday, whatever you want. And I guess that's it until next time. Well, till next month, we'll do one of our YouTubes. And but we're always more, you can check out the podcast for the audio podcast. And until then, may all your reading